Hi, it's Psychic Cynthia here, Spiritual Psychic Cynthia Killian. And this is just a quick video about fairy offerings. And I know some of you who've had private sessions with me or have attended classes have maybe heard me talk about making offerings to the spirits, not only the fairies, but various land spirits and also ancestors. And I just wanted to give you an example because I'm making offerings tonight. And you can do offerings to the spirits for many different reasons. And especially people like to make offerings to the fairies when they're asking for fairy favors or cooperation. But tonight I'm not really asking for a favor or anything of the such. I just felt the need to show my gratitude to the fairies for their friendship, and also to show my gratitude to the land and to share my energy and appreciation. And that's also one of the reasons we might leave offerings to the fairies or the divas, the land wights or the nature spirits, is to help strengthen the energy of the land, to help bless the land. So anyway, I'm doing that tonight, and I have actually done a few different offerings in different places in my yard. I don't know, I just felt the need to do more than one, and I wanted to be generous. So I have a little plate here. It looks kind of big, but it's not that big really. Just show you my hand to give it a point of reference. It's a saucer, I believe you might call it, instead of teacup on it. And what I'm leaving here for offerings, various items. I have some fresh fruit that I peeled here, a mandarin orange, and then a homemade streusel pumpkin pie. Not the whole pie, obviously, a piece. I have some pumpkin seeds that I made. Well, I didn't make the pumpkin seeds, nature made those, but I took them out of the pumpkin and then roasted them up and seasoned them, so those are kind of around on the plate too. I put some Cheerios on there, mainly because we have Cheerios in my house to feed my parrot. It's just something we, use a lot of, so I thought it might make a good offering. Plus it's got a little sweet in it, little grains. Some small pieces of white cheddar cheese. And I think that's about it. There's some crust from the pie in the back. And then for drink, I like to give them food and drink. I have some pretty high-grade wine, actually, some pretty expensive wine that was a gift. And when I put the wine in there, I filled it up a little bit higher, and I did drink just a sip. I don't do much alcohol. I'm a lightweight, so I can't do very much, actually. But when pouring wine, juice, or milk for the spirits, I always take a little bit from the cup when I'm pouring it, as if I'm drinking with them and toasting them. And I usually just do that inside when I'm pouring it, but you can also do it outside. And then on this cup, it was actually full to the top. And then what I did, I'm going to show you, I wanted to make a libation offering directly into the earth. And that's different. That's when you pour the wine or milk or whatever it is you're offering, the liquid, directly into the earth instead of setting it out. So I took about half of the wine when this cup was full, and I made an offering to the holly bush over here. We'll go around in the yard here. This is my front yard offering, if you're wondering. I also have offerings in the backyard, but I'm just doing the front yard. And can you see where that wet spot is in the earth there, between where the little mulleins are growing? So that's where I dumped the rest of the wine, or poured, I should say, and made an offering to the land here, and especially to this lovely holly bush, who is a strong, beautiful spiritual guardian of this land. And I kind of went around the yard as I was doing these offerings and kissed some of the trees and hugged them in other places, even though I didn't have food for all of them, but just gave them, some love, showed them some love. That's what offerings are all about, is showing love to whoever you're making the offerings, whether it's the fairies or nature or whatever. Showing appreciation. Even in winter, we have an elder bush here, and she unfortunately is now in the shade because the trees have gotten so big, but I promised her my offering to her is a pledge, and I promised her that I'll dig up part of her in the spring and move that part to the sun so she can have more light. So you can also do pledges to plants if you're into that kind of thing. And I know not all of you are into plants like I am, but many of you are into your spirit communications and connections. So yes, you can leave the offering. And I have a similar offering out in the backyard. Maybe I'll film that so you can see that in a moment. Only the plate is actually exactly the same. Sometimes I do different plates. Actually, usually when I'm doing these offerings, I'll just do one plate in one part of the yard. But again, for some reason tonight I was feeling, I don't know, the desire to shower my land spirits with a little love, or maybe there's a need for it. I've had some abundance come in lately, and I'm very grateful for that. So maybe it's just a way to show gratitude. But in the back I have the same, basically the same plate of food, but with milk and honey in a glass. I do get asked many times, what do you do with offerings? You know, if you're leaving them out like this, or even on your altar, you know, what do you do the next day or two, or what do? You can't leave them outside forever. Probably around here, there's a lot of stray cats. There aren't many stray dogs, but there are dogs that walk by on leashes, and there's squirrels. So probably around here, eventually somebody's going to eat these offerings. Although they usually don't drink the alcohol. So the alcohol the wine I'm talking about, I will dump in the earth within the next day or two. It's cold right now. I mean, it's not real cold, but it's about probably 44 when I'm filming this, something like that, 45. And it's going to get down to 25 tonight. So this food will stay, you know, refrigerated, so to speak, out here. It won't go bad. But I think it will get eaten, most of it. And then the wine I will dump into the earth. Some traditions hold that it's okay to eat the food that has been left for spirits, you know, or drink it because they just want the vibration. But in my understanding, I don't usually do that. You know, if it hasn't been eaten, I mean, I might just take it off the plate and leave it down into the earth or something like that. So for the food part, or at the very least, put it in the compost. So that's kind of how I do it. And then the wine I usually, or milk or whatever it is, sometimes I put out rum for the fairies too. They like that. So I'll put it down into the earth. And let's see, I'll go around here in a moment and I'll try to get you a picture of the offering station in the back. It's way far, so I'll have to start a separate video. One thing you might notice here too, that I've done this at the base of a plant, a large tree in this case. That's the way I prefer to leave offerings to the fairies in particular. Now, if you're leaving a plate of food outside to the ancestors, then you can just, you know, put that plate wherever, I mean, it seems right. Okay, so it doesn't always have to be up against, you know, a tree like this, but it makes sense for the communicating with the fairies or the land spirits, and also especially the tree spirits. Okay, let's see if we can get just a quick shot of that offering station in the back so you can see a different example. All right, so you can see back here I have another offering station, but this one was with milk, and there is honey, a little bit of honey in that milk, and same type of food being offered here. Let me step back so you can see the little house back there. And of course that's symbolic of a fairy dwelling. And yes, I do know that not all fairies are tiny. In fact, most of them aren't. But the fairies understand the symbolism. They understand that they're welcome here. That house is just my way of saying you're welcome. We're friends. And so this is actually sitting at the base of a, well, I guess it's a bonsai willow. I did not know it was a willow tree, and it started growing up and it started getting bigger and bigger, so I had to kind of keep it trimmed back. Well, like a bush, more like a bush. But you see too, there's some water that I put in the bird bath, even though it's going to get cold tonight. That's part of my offering here too, is to put water in the bird baths, even in the winter sometimes. So anyway, there you have it. Just an example of actually making offerings. Maybe it's a practice that you might want to do in your own life. I would say this, that after I've left offerings, whether it's to ask for a favor or just to show gratitude, you know, or to extend my heart in friendship to the fairies, or whatever spirits I'm communicating with, whomever. After I've done that, I feel lighter. I feel more positivity in my energy field. I just feel more connection with the cosmos and with nature. So I think that just the process of making the offerings itself, it's a heart-healing adventure, and it opens our hearts, and for me at least, it forges that spiritual connection more deeply. I can hear them, the spirits, and communicate with them more easily when I remember to make regular offerings. And I will also say too that, many of us humans, we think a lot about, even on the spiritual path, we think about opening to our spirits or our guides, whatever type of guides those may be, ancestors, angels, fairies, or some other kind. And we think about asking them for guidance or asking them for favors or for help. But we don't often think that they might want something back in return, that maybe they might appreciate a gift. Even if they don't need it or require it, they might appreciate a token of friendship. So I think it's something to think of, especially if you don't want to be just a taker. I mean, is that the kind of relationship you want to have in your spiritual communications? To just take and not give? I don't know about you, but I don't want to have that kind of relationship with anybody. I want it to be reciprocal. So even though they may not actually need the food, that's debatable. I think they like the energy of it, but whether they need it or not, they appreciate the offering. So anyway, it's one of the ways through food that you can make offerings. You can also leave jewelry and shiny pennies and all kinds of stuff. You can bake them a whole cake if you want. Play them a song, or sing for them. Sing them a song, especially if you're a really good singer. Alrighty, well, on this beautiful cold winter night, much love to you all, and fairy blessings. Bye.